Great Scott.
Great Scott.
Great Scott.
Hello everyone, I'm Scotty V, and you are wrong. If you think Brandon Routh didn't do a good job portraying our Man of Steel in 2006's Superman Returns, well then friend, you are wrong. Now I'll agree with the upcoming Man of Steel. We were kind of looking for a more rugged, more manly, for lack of a better term, Superman, and I think we have that in our Henry Cavill. But I think Brandon Routh portrayed an excellent Bryan Singer version of Superman. What do I mean by this? Bryan Singer was going for a more tender, a smaller story, a story about emotions, a story about returning to lost loves, and I think for that purpose, Brandon Routh was perfect. He was soft-spoken. He didn't have much dialogue. It's been a big complaint among fans that Superman didn't actually have that much to say or do. But I will say, for my opinion, that he had plenty to do. The effects as Superman were spectacular, as I mentioned earlier. Oftentimes, it seemed like they added some flying effects after the fact, and you could tell that they were CGI. But the plane rescue sequence was one of the best superhero action pieces I've ever seen. I was in complete disbelief in a good way. I was of the belief that this Superman that had these powers and was able to stop a plane from crashing was actually doing this. It looked as real as it could look. I had absolutely no problem with the effects in that sequence, and I thought it was fantastic. I also thought that him flying through Metropolis and stopping explosions, turning upside down and I-beaming the rubble as it fell from the sky so it wouldn't hurt people below. Things that we just haven't seen before, and I think that in a lot of ways that's what Bryan Singer was going for, showing us some things that maybe we hadn't seen of Superman on screen, and I think in that he succeeded. I think that Brandon Routh played a Superman that we could kind of relate to. He was a guy who was missing being on his adopted planet, the planet that he decided to protect, but that he went away and that he felt bad for going away. We didn't really talk much about guilt in the movie, but I think he felt guilty for leaving Lois behind, and I think in leaving Lois behind, that also includes the entirety of Earth, the idea that he left humanity to go on a personal quest, which is a quest he had to take. He made him feel bad and made him feel it was an unfortunate thing, but he knew he had to do it. And I think Brandon portrayed that perfectly. You could tell in the scene with Jimmy in the bar that he was not sure how to reinstate himself in society, and he was not certain if he would be accepted. And I think that Brandon Routh played this perfectly. You could tell his emotions in many of the scenes. His scenes with Lois were strong, that he felt like a boyfriend who had missed out. He felt like he lost the love of his life to someone else, and that someone else was Richard. And while I'm at it, Richard was also a character I enjoyed. You would think that as a fan that I'd be angry that this Richard White, whoever the heck this is, took Lois Lane from Superman. I mean, technically he didn't. Superman was gone for 5 years and Lois moved on, and he was a nice guy. He was a helpful guy and turned out to be a hero himself. I think all of the situations that Bryan Singer and the actors presented in this movie made it for a much better film than what people give it credit for. It may not have been the Superman movie that everyone was hoping for, but it certainly had a lot of heart, and it was certainly something to be seen. So if you think that it wasn't, just remember, you are wrong.